Tyler tapped the mic, cleared his throat, and dropped the line that took the air out of my lungs. "We want to thank the man who gave us life. Our real dad, not the guy who just paid the bills." It was graduation day, the finish line after 15 years of scraped knees, missed holidays, carpool chaos, algebra meltdowns, dentist runs, and birthdays I remembered when everyone else somehow forgot. And there I was, Mark, the proud stepdad, tucked in the back row in a button-down glued to my spine from the gym heat, holding my breath and trying to keep a smile on my face, right up until that moment. Brooke nodded along, glowing like a pageant queen. Her tassel bounced as she beamed straight at Derek, him, standing 3 rows ahead of me. Derek, the biological father who couldn't be bothered to send a birthday card, the guy who once pawned Brooke's bike for gas money, whose big contribution to their lives was some mediocre DNA and a stack of unpaid child support. Amanda, my wife, didn't even flinch. She didn't turn. She didn't meet my eyes. She just sat there with a face that might have started as a smile, but now looked like rigor mortis with lip gloss. I didn't get up. I didn't storm out. I didn't make a scene. I just sat there. Every muscle in my body turned to stone. My jaw didn't twitch. My hands didn't shake. But something inside me snapped clean. People shifted and whispered. A few craned around to see who just paid the bills. A woman in a blue hat nudged her husband. "Isn't that their stepdad back there?" He squinted at me like I was some stranger who wandered in just for cake. Let me tell you something. When you raise 2 kids from diapers to diplomas, it isn't only time you put in, it becomes your identity. It's sacrifice, layered and compounded, the kind that digs into your soul. And when someone torches that in front of 1,000 people, you don't scream. You calcify. I looked at Tyler, grinning like he'd just won an Oscar. I glanced at Brooke, nothing but gloss and teeth. Then I looked past them, past their mother, and fixed my eyes on a loose wire above the basketball hoop, watching it sway. Not because I didn't care, because if I looked at Amanda, I might have broken. You've probably heard stories like this. Maybe you're thinking, here we go, another dad getting pushed aside. But you haven't heard this one, because what happened after that speech, what I did next, is what flipped our whole town upside down. And hey, if you're one of the 98% listening without hitting subscribe, do it now. It actually helps a lot, and this team deserves to keep going. After the ceremony, everyone crowded the stairs for photos. Amanda wrapped her arms around the twins, smiling like she hadn't just watched me get throat punched in front of her entire extended family and God. Derek stepped in. He tossed Tyler a cap and said, "Wear it, Dad." Like they were filming a sitcom moment they'd reminisce about for years. Nobody asked me to join the picture. I didn't move. I just watched. I felt like a ghost at my own funeral. When the crowd thinned, I walked up to Amanda. She was laughing with her sister, a plastic cup of wine already in hand. I asked if she wanted help packing up the banners and the congratulations signs. "You're taking it too personally, Mark," she said. "They're just kids. Just kids." I nodded and kept quiet, but a fuse lit in my chest. Not a fire. Fires burn out. I went cold. And cold is permanent. The garage was silent except for the low hum of the old beer fridge and the occasional creak in the rafters, like the house itself was too ashamed to say anything. I sat in the stained fold-out chair by the workbench, fingers laced, elbows on my knees, staring at a stack of cardboard boxes labeled in black marker. Tyler, Science Fair, Brooke, 3rd grade drawings, Christmas decor, 2016. Every box was a little shrine to a moment I showed up when no one else did. Tyler's first Pinewood Derby car. We carved it together during one long February night with a half-dead Dremel and a YouTube tutorial. Brooke's papier-mâché volcano, painted bright pink for reasons only she understood, the one I helped rebuild after it collapsed the night before the fair. Up on the shelf sat a dusty lunchbox with faded Ninja Turtles. Tyler's. He used to call it his battle pack. I scraped peanut butter out of that thing more times than I can count. Funny what sticks. Funnier what doesn't. Sitting there in the stillness of 15 years of unnoticed effort, the pain wasn't sharp. It was dull and familiar, the kind of ache that knows your name. I glanced at a framed photo tacked to the pegboard, the 4 of us at Niagara Falls. Amanda had insisted on matching shirts. "Team Carter," they said. What a joke. It should have read, "disposable wallet and accessories." Eventually I stood up. My knees cracked louder than I wanted, but I didn't wince. I climbed the basement stairs slow, one hand sliding along the rail like I was crawling out of a bunker. Amanda was in the kitchen, scraping cake off a plastic plate with her fingernail. She didn't look up when she said, "You're being dramatic, Mark. Don't take it personally. It was just a moment." Just a moment. Right. Like 15 years can be wiped away with one little oops. I didn't answer her. I walked past without a word, down the hall, and into our bedroom. I opened the closet, pushed aside the blazers I don't even wear anymore, and reached up to the safe on the top shelf. 6 digits. Click. Inside was a thick envelope, neatly stacked checks, each written in staggered amounts over the last 5 years. One for every tax return, every bonus, every late night overtime shift I didn't complain about. That fund wasn't just cash, it was belief. It was my faith in our future, in us. I slid out the top check, freshly printed, Brooke's name on it for her first semester. I held it for a long beat and thought about how she used to climb into my lap with that, "Daddy, can you read to me?" voice, granola bar crumbs stuck to her fingers. Then I folded the check back into the envelope and put it in the safe. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cry. I just clicked it shut. People talk about heartbreak like it's a blast. Mine felt like a glacier, slow, massive, impossible to stop. Standing there in the dim closet light, one thought crystallized so clearly it almost made me laugh. They think the money is waiting for them. They don't realize I was the money, and I'm not waiting anymore. The house smelled like rotisserie chicken and sangria. Laughter rolled out of the kitchen like cheap perfume, loud, boisterous, a little too polished for reality. Derek's laugh cut through it all, that barky, obnoxious sitcom sound that makes you feel like you're stuck on a set built in a trailer park. He was holding court at the kitchen island like a returning war hero, shirt a size too small, gold chain flashing under the recessed lights. Amanda stood beside him with her wine glass halfway up, doing that high, flirty giggle she used to save for my birthday. The twins were out on the back deck with friends, phones up, posing in front of the banner I hung that morning. "Congrats, Brooke and Tyler, class of 2025. I stood in the corner of the living room near the bookshelf where our wedding photos used to live. Now it's candles and a farmhouse sign that says, "This is us." Sure it is. Amanda didn't really speak to me all evening, not directly. She floated by with plates and drink pitchers, touching Derek's arm twice as often as any normal person would. Tyler ducked in for another soda and walked past me like I was drywall. No hi, no eye contact, nothing. I was standing by the folding table piled with gift cards and envelopes when I spotted the one I'd tucked under the others. Simple white envelope, clean handwriting. "Tyler, proud of you." He opened it 5 minutes later out on the deck. I watched through the window as he read the card, looked at the check, and shrugged. "Thanks," he mumbled, then stuffed it back like junk mail and dropped it in a stack next to somebody's half-eaten cupcake. Brooke didn't open hers. I'm not sure she even noticed it was from me. And that was the moment. Not the speech. Not the party planning. Right then, something shifted. It wasn't anger I felt. It was freedom. There's a strange kind of relief in realizing nobody expects anything from you anymore. Not respect, not attention, not presence. They'd already written me out of the script. I was the background prop somebody forgot to move off stage. So I left. No announcement. I slipped inside, walked down the hall, past Amanda and Derek clinking glasses, past the droopy graduation balloons, and into the bedroom. Closet. Safe. 6 digits. Click. This time I didn't just look at the envelope. I took every check, every savings bond, and the final bonus deposit, and set them all in my briefcase. Then I sat at my desk, logged into my bank, and moved every cent into a private account under a new name, one no one in this house would ever see. Not even the same bank. A different institution entirely. I set up alerts, strong passwords, 2-factor authentication. Closed the laptop. Stood up. Walked back to the party like nothing had happened. Amanda was in the backyard now, laughing at whatever Derek was showing off on his phone. Brooke sat on the hot tub edge with her friends, acting like I didn't exist. Maybe I didn't. Not to them. But the one thing I controlled, the thing they never noticed, was already gone. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called in and told Mike I needed a personal day. He didn't ask questions. "Take what you need, man," he said, and it hit harder than he knew. I ironed a clean shirt, pulled on the decent khakis, and drove across town. Not to the plant. To the brick office building just past Main, The one with spotless glass and a receptionist who smiles like she means it. I wasn't there to window shop. I had a list, names, numbers, a plan. First stop, the lawyer. Mr. Greer, sharp, mid-60s, the kind of guy who looks like he plays chess with judges and wins. He glanced at the envelope I slid across his desk and lifted an eyebrow. You're serious about this? I got serious the moment they thanked a man who never bought a single notebook, I said. He nodded once, didn't pry, just got to work. We set up a trust. Not for Brooke. Not for Tyler. For Emily, Amanda's niece. Her brother's kid. Quiet girl Amanda never liked. Said she was too serious and awkward, which, in Amanda speak, means she wasn't into brunches, Botox, or betrayal. Emily works nights at the grocery store and cleans offices on weekends. Her mom used to say she dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. Then her dad bailed. Her mom got sick, and college fell off the table. I hadn't seen Emily in a couple of years. Last time was Christmas Eve. She showed up with a tin of cookies and helped me wash dishes while Tyler sat in the recliner playing Xbox and pretending she didn't exist. She was the only one that night who asked if I needed help carrying things to the car. So I called her. She answered on the third ring, a little out of breath. Sorry, I'm on break. Everything okay? Depends, I said. You still want to go to college? She laughed like I was kidding. I told her I wasn't. Then I added, look, I can't promise everything, but I can get you started. Tuition, books, housing, and a small cushion. You've earned it. She didn't cry, not then. She just whispered, why me? Because you never asked, I said. And that was exactly why. That afternoon I met with my financial advisor, moved the funds officially, and restructured everything under the trust's name. No ties to the Carter household. No paper trail Amanda could sniff out without a subpoena, and a miracle. Meanwhile, the fantasy at home rolled on without a bump. A group text popped up on the family iPad in the kitchen. Brooke sharing dorm photos with Amanda, Tyler bragging about the gaming setup he planned to bring, Amanda chatting about which wine glasses to donate now that she'd have her space back. They mapped out everything, move-in dates, chic colors, what to do with Tyler's lizard. Amanda even joked about turning Brooke's room into a yoga studio. Not one of them noticed the balance had dropped to zero. Not one of them asked. Why would they? They were conditioned to believe the universe always landed on its feet. That dad, scratch that, stepdad, would show up with the check, the ride, the safety net. So while they poured mimosas and measured for curtain rods, I quietly rewrote the story. Not out of spite, out of principle. You don't spit in the face of the man holding the umbrella in every storm and still expect him to carry you to shelter when the next one rolls in. It started with a ping. Amanda was in the kitchen when the email arrived. Her laptop chimed that cheerful little jingle like it was delivering a coupon. Instead, it was a polite digital slap from Hudson State. Subject, deposit not received, action required. She read it once, then again, her face folding into that confused smirk she wears whenever the universe dares to inconvenience her. She started a reply, thought better of it, and reached for her phone. I was on my lunch break, sitting alone in the cab of my truck outside a deli, unwrapping a turkey sandwich like it was evidence, when the screen lit up. Amanda, home, calling. I let it ring twice and picked up. You didn't send the deposit, she said. No hello. Hudson. The dorm payment. Tyler's housing. They're saying it bounced or something. I took a slow bite, chewed, swallowed. Oh, I'll look into it. Look into it, she said. Yeah, probably a glitch. Silence. I could hear the kitchen clock ticking on her end. Then, Mark, are you okay? Never better. I hung up. Back at the house, Brooke was at the kitchen table pretending to do homework, but clearly eavesdropping. She caught enough to raise an eyebrow. Later that night, while folding towels, she asked Amanda, is the money not there? Amanda, already in damage control mode, waved her off. It's probably just a mix-up. Your dad, he overthinks things. Stepdad, Brooke corrected automatically. Tyler, flat on the couch scrolling TikTok, chimed in without looking up. He's not going to do anything. He's too soft. He cried during Finding Nemo, remember? Brooke giggled, but it sounded thinner than usual. Tyler's always been the loud one, the overconfident golden boy who never learned the difference between being handed something and earning it. That night Amanda texted me, brunch this Sunday. Just us. We need to talk. Heart emoji. I stared at it for a while. Just us, was Amanda code for manipulation with coffee and egg whites. She's at her best when she can disarm you with pancakes and nostalgia. I replied, sure, looking forward to it. And the thing is, I meant it. I was actually looking forward to it. There's a special kind of beauty in letting someone build the trap they're sure you're too dumb to notice. Watching them tie the knots with a smile, convinced they're 2 moves ahead, while they're marching straight into the quicksand. Amanda is a world-class emotional puppeteer, but she forgot one thing. Strings catch fire just as fast as bridges. The brunch spot was one of those rustic farmhouse-turned-bistro places that serves eggs on wooden slabs and upcharges you if you dare ask for ketchup. She picked it, of course, called it neutral ground. Translation: somewhere public where she could set the tone, a room where raising your voice feels like a felony and the smell of artisanal sourdough softens every lie. She showed up in white linen, sunglasses on her head, acting like the world hadn't split at the seams. "Hi, stranger," she said, planting a quick kiss on my cheek as if she hadn't spent a week pretending I didn't exist. I played along. I ordered a black coffee, no food. Amanda went for something complicated with hollandaise and started swirling her mimosa like she was prepping a speech. "That email from Hudson threw me," she said. "I thought maybe we miscommunicated about the timeline." I nodded. You've always been so organized with that stuff. Remember the year you handled our taxes? God, I was a mess." She laughed and touched my hand. "But you pulled through. You always do." There it was, nostalgia bait. She kept reeling backward through the highlight reel. "When Tyler had that asthma scare in 2nd grade, you stayed overnight in that awful plastic chair. They don't remember that, but I do. And when Brooke lost her math binder before finals, you drove to 3 Targets." I took a sip. "A lot of binders." She leaned in. "Look, I know the graduation speech stung. Kids don't always understand the impact of their words. They're teenagers. They think in hashtags." I cracked a smile. "And you?" She blinked. "What? Do you understand the impact?" Amanda hesitated, then did that soft head tilt like she was listening to a podcast about empathy. "I just want us to be okay, Mark. The kids will come around. You know how Tyler is. Loud, a little careless sometimes, but his heart's in the right place." "Sure." Her shoulders dropped in relief. "So we're good. You'll handle the deposit?" I set my cup down. "Of course." She reached across and squeezed my hand. "I knew I could count on you." It was almost a nice moment. Almost. Later that day, I met Emily at the back entrance of the community center where she works part-time. She was still in her janitor polo, hair pulled into a ponytail, cheeks flushed from scrubbing baseboards. Tired, but hopeful. I handed her the envelope. Thick, heavy, packed with documentation, confirmation numbers, and a prepaid account in her name. She opened it. Her eyes went wide. "Mark, this is—" "I can't." I held up a hand. "You don't have to say anything. Just do something good with it." She paused, then noticed the note I tucked on top, because someone should know what effort looks like. She looked up, and I saw it. Actual gratitude. Not the kind you fish for with money. The kind you earn with time, with quiet, with showing up. Meanwhile, across town, Tyler posted a photo on Instagram. Caption: "Can't wait to move into Hudson. Big thanks to the man who made it happen. Hashtag free ride, hashtag family first." The picture? Him and Derek in front of the grill, clutching beer cans like they'd summit Everest. No mention of me. Not even a polite lie. Just nothing. Perfect. While they curated a fantasy, I finalized reality, and reality had already picked a side. Orientation week was supposed to be their victory lap. Brooke ordered sage green sheets and mapped out where the fairy lights would go. Tyler packed 3 duffels like he was deploying. PS5, 2 monitors, and a pair of overpriced sneakers he was saving for the first frat party. That morning they posed for photos. Amanda played photographer. Brooke captioned one, "On to bigger things." Tyler posted another with a flex and sunglasses emoji. Derek commented, "Proud of you, son." Amanda smashed the heart. "I didn't get an invite to come along." Fine by me. I had somewhere else to be. On my porch, hot coffee in hand. Watching birds pick at a feeder I kept meaning to refill. I'd already taken the day off. Not for them. For me. Because I knew exactly what was coming. Around 2:30 p.m., the first tremor hit. Amanda called. I let it roll to voicemail. 3 minutes later, a text. "What the hell is going on? Call me now." I smiled and took another sip. At 3:04, Brooke texted. First message to me in 2 months. They're saying tuition wasn't paid. I'm literally at orientation. This is humiliating. I took my time. When I answered, it was 3 words. Talk to your mom. By 4:10, the eruption arrived, in person. Amanda pounded on my door like a repo man on a deadline. I opened it slow, coffee in hand, and stepped aside. She stormed in, eyes wide, jaw locked. They said tuition never cleared. Brooke was crying in the hallway. Tyler couldn't even get his dorm key. I nodded. Tough day. What the hell did you do, Mark? Me? I said, walking to the kitchen. I thought I was just the guy who pays the bills. That landed like a slap. I pulled open a drawer, took out a folded slip, and slid it across the counter, a withdrawal receipt from the college fund account. Dated the day after graduation. Full balance, gone. She stared like it was written in another language. You can't be serious, she whispered. You all made it pretty clear, I said, leaning on the counter. You wanted the real dad, the speeches, the photos, the public glory. So I let him have it. This is different, she hissed. This is their future. You can't just. I didn't just anything. I cut in. I planned. I moved. I decided, like I've always done. Quietly. Efficiently. The way I was taught. She staggered a step back, phone already in hand. We'll sue. No, you won't, I said evenly. The account was in my name. My contributions. My tax records. Every penny documented. Nothing illegal, just inconvenient. Her mouth opened, then shut. The tremble in her hands wasn't anger, it was realization. A car pulled up outside. Tyler in the passenger seat, Brooke behind the wheel. They barely let it roll to a stop before rushing the door. Tyler burst in first. What the hell, Mark? They're saying I don't even have a student ID. I turned slowly. Sounds like a problem for your real dad. Brooke's eyes were red. Why would you do this? You mean after your little speech about how I'm just the guy who pays the bills? I looked from one to the other. I figured I'd stop paying. They didn't rage. They froze, like someone told them gravity stopped working. Amanda sank onto the couch edge and covered her face. What are we supposed to do now? I walked past her, opened the door, and held it there. Figure it out. And for the first time since I met any of them, I realized they'd never actually had to. The invite hit the family group chat. Carter Family Barbecue, Sunday, at Aunt Linda's. Bring sides. The usual summer drill. Lawn chairs, paper plates, overcooked burgers, and potato salads that all taste vaguely like regret. I hadn't planned on going, and neither had Amanda. Not until her narrative started slipping through her fingers like cheap rose. I showed up early and quiet, claimed a chair near the fence, sipped iced tea, and let the humidity do its work. Aunt Linda waved from the grill. Glad you made it, Mark. Haven't seen you since Easter. Been around, I said, nodding. By 3 o'clock the yard was packed. Kids tore through sprinklers. Derek, backward cap on, was already on beer number 2, trying too hard to bro down with Brooke and Tyler, like they were frat buddies instead of the kids he'd ghosted most of their lives. Amanda arrived fashionably late and emotionally off-kilter, wearing that bright yellow sundress she used to save for church picnics, like she could costume herself into joy. She made the rounds. Hugs, kisses, curated laughter, but the cracks showed. It started when Uncle Dave asked Tyler how college life was going. Tyler froze and looked at Amanda. She chuckled too loud. We're working through some administrative hiccups. Then a cousin asked Brooke if she'd picked her major. That's when the veneer peeled. We would have picked majors already, Amanda snapped, if someone hadn't sabotaged everything we planned for years. The yard went silent. Even the grill hissed like it was listening. Aunt Linda looked up. Amanda? She spun and locked onto me across the lawn like a heat-seeking missile. He took it. All of it. The college fund. Just emptied it. Forks paused. Drinks hovered midair. Derek piped up. Wait, what's she talking about? Amanda marched to the center of the yard like she was taking the stage. Mark withdrew every cent the day after graduation. After everything we did for him. After 15 years of him raising those kids like his own. I didn't say a word, just lifted my glass in acknowledgement. The staring started. People shifting as they tried to do the math in their heads. Aunt Linda cleared her throat. Amanda, weren't you the one who posted that graduation clip? The one where they thanked Derek? Amanda blinked. That was their idea. Someone muttered. I saw it. Kinda sounded like you were clapping. Color climbed into Amanda's cheeks. I didn't mean to. This wasn't supposed to, he blindsided us. I finally spoke, calm and even. No blindsiding. I simply stopped paying the bills, like I was told. Tyler, red-faced, finally cracked. We didn't mean it that way. I mean, it was just a joke, graduation stuff, heat of the moment. I lifted my glass again. You said what you meant. More silence. Then the murmurs started. Cousin Brittany whispered to her boyfriend. Uncle Dave shook his head. Derek looked like he wanted to sink into the lawn. Amanda, hands trembling now, hissed, "You're embarrassing me." I leaned back, crossed my legs. "I'm just sitting here, Amanda. Haven't raised my voice once." She scanned the crowd for backup and found nothing but avoidance. People fussed with their drinks, got very interested in their deviled eggs. The quiet judgment was louder than any shouting match. I drained my tea, stood, and gave Aunt Linda a polite nod. "Thanks for the invite. Always a pleasure." Then I left Amanda standing in the middle of the yard with a plastic cup, surrounded by family she thought would always line up behind her. Turns out loyalty doesn't follow bloodlines. It follows the truth. It started with a simple Facebook post. No hashtags, no filters. Just a grainy photo of Emily in her new dorm, holding a box of books with that quiet, stunned smile you only wear when you get something you never thought you'd have. My daughter just got a second chance. Not because of luck. Not because someone had to, but because someone chose to. Thank you, Mark. You owed her nothing, but you gave her everything. Emily's mom posted it from a beat-up Samsung, pecking with 2 fingers. But the post went small-town viral. Hundreds of shares. Dozens of comments from teachers, neighbors, old church friends. Emily deserves this. That's real fatherhood. I remember when Mark never missed a band recital for those kids. And now this. Unbelievable. Amanda saw it, and it gutted her. She showed up at my job the next morning, unannounced, eyes red, makeup half done like she'd given up halfway through the mirror. I was on break in the loading bay, sipping gas station coffee, when she pulled up, headlights still on, parked crooked. She stumbled out like her heels had turned on her. "Mark," she called, already crying. "Please." I took one last sip, set the cup down, and kept walking. "Mark, wait. Can we please talk? Just for a minute." I said nothing. I moved past her like she was a stranger on the sidewalk. "They're your kids too," she choked. "We made a mistake. We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it." The words hung in the air like smoke from a blown engine. They didn't deserve an answer. I badged through the side door, the lock clicked, and the door eased shut between us. Through the glass, I saw her sink to the pavement, hands shaking, mascara bleeding into the lines she'd started blaming on bad lighting. That night, I got home a little after 8. The hallway light in my apartment flickered, like always, part of the charm, I guess. When the elevator doors slid open, there she was again, Amanda, on her knees in front of my door. Purse spilled, keys, gum wrappers, a bottle of CVS anti-anxiety pills wobbling lazy circles on the tile. She wasn't crying now. She was sobbing, raw, guttural. "Mark, please," she whispered. "Please. Look at me. I'll fix it. I'll make them apologize. Just don't do this. Don't walk away from us." A neighbor peeked from the far end of the hall. Another opened their door and slowly closed it. This wasn't private anymore. This was theater, and I was done being part of her show. I stepped past her carefully, so she wouldn't mistake it for helping, unlocked my door, and paused long enough to meet her eyes. Not with anger, with indifference. The kind you earn. The kind you grow into when you realize not everyone who cries in front of you is worth saving. Then I shut the door. No slam. No final speech. Just quiet, and the sound of someone finally learning they never had a safety net. Only a man they mistook for one. The bank was cool and still, the kind of new branch with soft jazz and carpet thick enough to muffle regret. Emily sat beside me, fingers laced tight, heel tapping. She'd straightened her hair and wore a blazer with the tag tucked into the sleeve. Probably a thrift store find that cost her 2 lunch shifts. "Mr. Carter," the banker said with a practiced smile. "We're all set. Just need a final signature to release the remaining funds." I slid the folder to Emily without hesitation. She looked at me like she was still waiting for the catch. "There's no trap," I said. "You earned this." She signed. Her hands shook. The teller glanced between us and smiled. "Lucky girl." I stood and shook my head. Not luck. Just someone who never forgot who showed up. That landed heavier than she realized. We walked out into late afternoon sun. The heat was finally easing, long gold across the hood of my truck. Emily hugged me, tight, breathless, the kind of hug you only give once in a lifetime. Then she climbed into her rideshare, off to class, off to campus, off to a future no one handed her, one she ran toward when someone finally opened the gate. I drove out of town slower than usual, not stalling, just aiming for one last turn. The old house. From the street, nothing had changed. Same brick, same cracked driveway, plus a new touch, a big white for sale sign wobbling in the breeze. The garage door was up, half filled with boxes. Brooke dragged a suitcase across the lawn. Tyler lugged a flat screen under one arm like a wounded soldier. Both of them avoided my eyes. And Amanda, she was on the porch. Not waving, not crying, just sitting in a plastic chair, ankles crossed, sunglasses on though the sun was already ducking behind the trees. She saw me. She knew I'd see them. It wasn't a trap. It wasn't a performance. It was just the end. I didn't slow down, didn't roll the window down, didn't toss a wave or a last middle finger. I just drove past the house where I spent 15 years making lunches and fixing leaks and doing homework, pretending effort could fill the hole someone else left behind. Past the people who called someone else real. Past the fantasy that love given unconditionally always comes back. It doesn't. But sometimes it finds somewhere better. In my rear view, there was nothing I needed to look at. And what hit me hardest wasn't the betrayal. It was how calm I felt letting go. Sometimes the deepest power is in silence, walking away without explaining yourself. People who take you for granted never expect you to stop showing up. But when you do, that's when they finally feel the cost.